This is Lyns.
And this is Russ.
And we're married.
Are we?
Yep, since 2013.
We're the hosts of the Unfiltered Union podcast,
where we discuss popular headlines and interview interesting people.
Our opinions may vary, but we will never censor our guests or our viewpoints.
Welcome to the Unfiltered Union.
We have another guest.
Good job!
I'm supposed to do the intro this time.
You volunteered to do the intro this time.
No, I didn't, but okay. All right. Today we have with us Kaleighh Grant, a.k.a. Kaye. She grew up outside Philadelphia with a deep love and longing for the ocean and the curiosity of its inhabitants. Kaye has a Bachelor of Science in Ecotourism and completed the Marine Option Program at the University of Hawaii, as well as a shark specialty course with Queensland University and Cornell University. She's been living in Hawaii for the past 12 years and was able to further her love of the ocean and learn invaluable information about safety and sharks from the amazing team at One Ocean Diving from 2015 to 2020. Kaye has guided ocean goers of all walks of life at home in Hawaii as well as around the globe with her Kaimana expeditions. Kaye is passionate about connecting people to the ocean in a deeper way and inspiring others to change their daily habits to better benefit the natural world. On board, Kaye will teach you how to properly interact with animals, safely interact with sharks, the importance of cutting out single-use plastics, which sunscreens are safe for the reef, and more.
Good job.
That was a struggle for me.
We're growing here.
I don't know how to read good.
But I mean, all that to say, let's start from the very beginning with you here, Kaye. You talk about how you grew up outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah, Philadelphia.
Ocean.
To Hawaii is big.
Right. So what started your interest in the ocean and wanting to interact with animals of the sea?
Well, my dog is like climbing under me. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I grew up outside of Philadelphia in an area called Bucks County. And so I spent my summers as a kid going to Jersey Shore, just like you see on TV. And I loved whales when I was growing up. We are in the generation of, or I'm in the generation of growing up to Free Willy and The Little Mermaid. Oh, yeah. And, I just loved whales. So my dad would take me whale watching off of the coast of Massachusetts. And from there, I kind of just went through the typical go to school, get a job sort of routine. After I was a kid, I didn't really realize that working in the ocean was necessarily a possibility for me. But after I graduated college, I moved out to Hawaii. And from there, I was fully surrounded by the ocean. So it was inevitable that I revisited this love of the ocean and marine life. So from there, I started working as a dive master and taking people scuba diving. And I remember on my first scuba dive, when I was learning how to scuba dive, I found a shark tooth in the sand, and I brought it up to my instructor, and I was like, look, this is so cool. And he was like, well, that's awesome because, what a special rare find. And I think that was a sign that they were going to be in my life and very important to me. So then I went on to work with sharks on the North Shore of Oahu for many years before finally starting my own company called Kaimana Ocean Safari out here in Kona with my husband, Cam.
That's awesome.
Do you still have that shark tooth?
I do. Oh, yes. Amongst many more that I've collected now over the years.
Yeah, that's a passed down through the generation type deal right there.
Absolutely.
It was certainly a very special omen. So I actually put it on a necklace, and I'd been wearing it around for quite a while.
Right on. So what drew you to Hawaii? I mean, you kind of gave us some hints that working with the ocean and stuff, but like I said before, Philadelphia, Hawaii, that's long.
That's a lot of miles.
Yeah, that's pretty far.
Oh, yeah, that's a really big leap. And I was not as well traveled as I am now coming out of college. I had never been more west than Texas. So that was a huge leap for me. Throughout my college career, I did some volunteering programs where I went down to Central and South America and volunteered to help teach kids English and things like that. So during that, I think travel is a way to really expand your mind and teach you so much about the world around you. And for me, that was definitely the case. I was like, wow, there's so much more to the world than this like county that I grew up in. And so when I graduated college, I was like, okay, like I want to keep going. I want to keep traveling and see what else is out there. So I didn't necessarily have a plan. My degree is in ecotourism. So I kind of knew that I wanted to take people on adventures one day. I didn't exactly at the time know what that looked like. I value experiences a lot, and I think that they can really shape and change people. So that is what I wanted to give people. That's what I wanted to do with my purpose. And then luckily I was able to combine that with the ocean. But I was just looking for my next adventure essentially and what I wanted to do next. And I was looking at places all over the world. But I had a friend that I was in college with, and he was like, yeah, you can come like crash on my couch for until you find a place. And I was like, you're in Hawaii. Okay, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. I had about like $3,000 in my pocket and 3 suitcases. And I went out, I bought a scooter. I was like on a moped for the first couple years of living out there. And I got a job at a restaurant. And that's kind of like how it all started.
I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, the plane ticket alone, though, probably ate up a lot of your savings.
I know I was just like a young, broke college student, but it's almost like, yeah, just things were so like way more simple back then. So it was
Oh
easier than
yeah,
it would be for me to do something like that now. So I'm glad I took the leap at that time in my life.
for sure. I mean, we I'm not saying we did a huge leap like that, but we went from Virginia to Florida, and that was rough, so bad.
Yeah.
It was awful. I recommend people to check out Florida, but moving across state lines, you gotta really think about it before you do it and kind of plan, because it was rough for
Yeah.
us.
It's hard.
Oh yeah.
For sure. And I think with Florida, we have all of our favorite things about living here. Okay, what would you say is your favorite thing about Hawaii living?
Oh my gosh, definitely the ocean. Especially like out here in Kona. It's really my favorite place to dive. So I'm very lucky that I live somewhere that is my favorite place to dive. And also the aloha spirit, whenever I'm like back on the East Coast or on the mainland, I can definitely feel the energy of the hustle and bustle around me a little bit more. Just kind of like that slow pace, that island life. The aloha spirit is definitely very prevalent here. And you can feel it when you're just here.
Right. It's a culture thing. And we never had a big culture scene in Virginia where we're from. But down here, Tampa's like that. It's super weird. Like the community here is big, and the sports teams are actually rooted for here, unlike in Virginia. Everybody only watches hockey there. Ugh. But yeah,
I
it's
think it's hard to realize there is culture where you're from, but other people would probably see it if they went to
that's
visit
true.
Virginia. It's just like we're so used to our own like
Bubble.
upbringing.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can see that for sure, because Virginia is, what do they call it? The birthplace of presidents. And
Right.
and there's a lot of history in Virginia, but it's like we lived there all our life, so we were poked and prodded at school like, you're from the place where all the presidents came from, and I guess it just falls on deaf ears after a while.
Well, diving in here, haha. We so how did you really get your start with shark diving? Like, where would you like pinpoint? I mean, you mentioned the tooth. Is that kind of what led you to, hey, maybe I can find sharks in the wild?
Yeah, for sure. I always tell people like, because people will ask all the time and sort of overcomplicate it, like, how did you do this? What should I do? What exactly is your job and where did you learn and all of these things? And it's actually just like way more simple than you think. just go to the ocean. Just go in the ocean as much as you can, and you're bound to start seeing some things and learning a lot. The sharks are the best teachers too. And basically, whatever subject it is that you're interested in, just spend time hanging out with them. Look at the guy, my octopus teacher, right? And how he was able to like have form this whole connection and do this whole documentary just by going out there every day and spending time looking for this octopus. So it's kind of like the same thing, you know. And in Hawaii, there are areas that are more prevalent for sharks, the North Shore of Oahu being one of them. And but really anywhere, you know. So mine really started with scuba diving, and I always recommend, like, if people are looking to have a job in the ocean, to start with scuba diving. Go out, get your dive master. I recommend Patty, and just like work in the industry. If you become the person that's taking the people out, like, you're going to be out so often, and you're going to see more things and learn more stuff. So just making sure spending time in the ocean and taking people out there, and over time, you know, you definitely learn a thing or two.
So I have a question, and it is around the public perception of sharks is nothing but fear, but you swim with them, you know them a lot better than, you know, the Discovery Channel feeding somebody who sits on the couch and watches that all day.
And we've seen videos of you touch them.
Yeah, right.
Like,
So what I'm trying to get at is why are they important, and what does the ocean look like without sharks? Because they are a key player to the ecosystem, and people don't tend to understand that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, regarding the fear of sharks, I think it's a normal thing. They're wild animals, they're apex predators, and I never want to become someone that preaches that they're puppy dogs, because it's just really not the case, right? They should be, you know, I wouldn't say like feared, demonized, but like feared to like a healthy degree, that it's like, okay, I have respect for that animal, and that it's a wild animal, and like it's their home, it's their ocean, and all of those good things. So you know, a lot of the videos I put out, sometimes it's like, hey, they're not the man-eating monsters, because after all the time that I've spent in the water with them, like, if they were, I would not be alive. But then I also want to like show people, but yes, they are predators, and we shouldn't just take that for granted and do things that are sort of like stupid and sort of asking for it. So there's a very fine line there. And I think once people learn, okay, and see them for themselves, especially getting to go in the water with sharks, they're like, okay, they're not man-eating monsters. Their demeanor is totally different than what the movies and these like overly dramatized things portray. And then when they learn, okay, they're really important for the ocean's ecosystem, they help regulate all of the fish populations. They remove the dead, dying, weak individuals to leave only the strong to survive and reproduce. They help keep everything in balance. Everything in the ecosystem, everything in that food chain has a role from the bottom to the top. And sharks being at the top, they have a very important role as well. And if we remove them from the ecosystem, we create what's called a trophic cascade, where everything below is actually severely affected as well. So they are really important for the ecosystem. And then people also learn, hey, okay, so there's this animal. They're not as scary as the media portrays. They're really important for the ecosystem. And then they learn, wow, they're being killed at a rate of over 100 million sharks per year for their meat, for their fins, as bycatch. And all of that was sort of a factor for me to be like, okay, I want to do something about it and try to save and protect them, or just show the general public how awesome they are and teach them all of this stuff. So it's been really cool, because I do think that there has been a bit of a shift in people understanding sharks and falling in love with sharks. And it's been cool to sort of be a part of that in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think the media plays a part in the misconception of sharks, or is there something else at play?
Absolutely. For sure, the media, like, it's still so frustrating, because I do feel like we have come a long way, like I was saying, but I think that we still have a long way to go. Even when you see what I would call a shark encounter, where maybe somebody's swimming and a shark comes by, like, there's times where that will still be labeled an attack. And if the shark's literally doing nothing, it's just swimming in the ocean, it just lives there. Like, that's
You're in his house.
Yeah, exactly. So that is really frustrating. And I think the mainstream media definitely likes to sensationalize and overly dramatize everything. And definitely with sharks, getting that headline, attack and creating that fear is just going to sell more views and more, attention. So I still think that we have a long way to go, but that's sort of, another topic on the media and how terrible they can be with so
Yeah.
many different
Yeah,
topics. But
right.
sharks fall victim to that too. Yeah.
For
For
sure.
sure.
Yep. So you said they're killed a lot. I mean, overfishing and things like that, but you said they're killed for their fins and stuff. Can you kind of explain why they're killed for that? Because I know, at least in the US, I don't think shark fin soup is much of a delicacy here.
Yeah, I had never heard of shark fin soup before moving to Hawaii and getting, a little closer to Asia, where it's mainly served as China. But we can't even just blame, one particular country because so many countries around the world are contributing to the harvesting of the fins. So it's really a global issue for sure. But shark fin soup is sort of like a delicacy, something that you would have on special occasions like weddings. And it's just the fin of the shark. So much of the shark, when they're finning them, is wasted, often tossed back into the ocean and disregarded. Obviously, it's best if you do kill something to utilize the entire animal versus just a small portion of their body. This portion of their body has no taste, no nutritional value even. And in fact, it's shark meat is very high in mercury, so it's actually bad for you. I do think that there's going to be a lot of changes in the near future, and there already has been. I know that the Chinese government, I believe they banned serving shark fin soup in government events. So that is a step in the right direction. They're starting to recognize it maybe a bit. So we just want to keep getting that word out there. And let people know what it is, why it's harmful for the sharks, for humans, for their fins, for shark fin soup, and their meat. And a third one is bycatch is huge, is why they're being killed at a rate of, and this is an estimate, it could be way more than this, about 100 million per year. And they think that some estimates say it could be over 200 million per year, which is just mind-blowing. So in addition to the shark fin soup, there's also a big problem with how we fish these days. We just fish very indiscriminately. We've become really good at fishing, so we're able to catch everything basically in the area. And that leads to a lot of animals that we didn't even intend to catch getting caught and then dying, usually fighting on that line. And that is essentially bycatch. So sharks are a huge target in bycatch because they would eat the same things that a tuna would eat. So if we're trying to catch tuna and we are laying out thousands of baited hooks with whatever type of bait to catch tuna, if a shark swims by, they're going to get that too. And the problem with sharks specifically being caught as bycatch or killed for their fins or meat and just killed in general is that being that animal at the top of the food chain, they do have a slower reproductive rate. They don't reproduce as quickly as something in the lower levels to replenish their population. So they're having a really hard time, obviously, keeping up with these numbers, like 100 million sharks per year. So that is pretty much the plight of sharks.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I mean, on top of their slow, I guess, offspring, their reproduction, they also struggle, I guess, with having multiple in the womb, right? They not all make it. Is that a true thing? Or did I just see that on TikTok?
I think that's great whites, right?
Yeah, reproduction is definitely different with each individual species, but a lot that give live births in the womb, sometimes they can actually eat each other a little bit before they come out. And then, when they come out, depending on the species, they're small, they're more like fish size, they're more like bait size. So then they have to worry about other predators, especially larger sharks going after them. So there's a lot that is going into it, and you're talking about animals that are, a lot of species are having live births versus spawning, thousands of eggs and things like that. So it's just a lot harder for them to keep up with. And there's usually casualties, in each kind of litter of pups. So And baby sharks are called pups, which is so cute. So we should love sharks just for that.
Yeah, right.
As soon as you said that, I was like, she said pups.
Yeah.
They have puppy teeth, right? They got the
little baby teeth.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so you have a picture behind you, and that picture behind you, you are swimming with I'm going to assume it's a great white. It's big.
Yes, that one is very big. That's definitely the biggest shark with teeth that I've seen ever. Probably like the biggest shark I've seen ever. That was in 2019. And that was in Hawaii, off the coast of Oahu, about 12 miles. And there was a dead whale carcass. So a lot of people are always surprised to hear that there was a great white in Hawaii. That's crazy. We do have great whites here. They're just extremely rare to see because the water is quite warm for them. And so they like to stay down a little deeper where it's cold, but a lot of them will kind of follow the great whites out from California out to Hawaii. And hopefully, or hopefully running across a dead one, and then they're able to gorge themselves and really get stuffed and a lot of nutrients and kind of replenish that. So we were lucky enough to find the dead whale, and I did not expect something like a great white to pop up, but that was such an amazing experience. We actually recently had another dead whale in Kona, so that would be my third over the 12 years that I've lived here. So, whales die. It's always sad, of course. They die a lot just of natural causes, just like anything else. Sometimes human causes too, of course, but they feed an ecosystem so well. A dead whale feeds an ecosystem for something like 10 years because you get the sharks and the fish and things like that. But then as it sinks, it's decomposing and it hits the seafloor. And there's all types of other decomposers down there that are feeding on it for ages until the bones are decomposing then. So it's a really fascinating kind of event to get to see. But yeah, great white came up and she was feeding on the dead whale, and she was totally like relaxed and chill. Probably many reasons for that. She may have been pregnant. Do you want to run around attacking stuff when you're pregnant? You probably just want to lay on the couch and eat. She also had a huge feast, a huge dead whale that was providing her so much food that she was like, I'm not going to mess with these like humans. And there was dolphins there. She's like, I'm not going to mess with these dolphins. I'm just going to go for this big, free, easy meal here, with this dead whale. So it was really beautiful, really peaceful, really amazing experience. I'm so grateful for, but definitely not something I would recommend that somebody should just think, oh yeah, Mermaid Kayleigh said that great whites are safe, because that is not the case. Like I said, any shark has the potential to be dangerous. They're not little puppy dogs. And especially something like a great white, they're just so huge and massive. If they did something like an exploratory bite to find out what you are, that could mean that your limb is gone. That could mean that you die. And there were great whites that I was able to swim with in New Zealand inside of a cage that were behaving a lot different than this beautiful big lady here. They were smaller, juvenile, very athletic and breaching as they're hunting, and the water is murkier. And yeah, I was totally fine being in a cage. So I would say go try to swim with them in a cage. That is where you're going to be safe and you're going to get to see them. And they're really, really amazing. And this was sort of like a once in a lifetime moment with like a very once in a lifetime type of shark.
And you got a picture.
That's
an
to prove
awesome
it.
Yeah, exactly. You have to. You got to have that. Yeah, right.
I mean, I think even with a cage, I think my heart rate would start to rise, right? And I would start to feel the adrenaline racing through me. I mean, what would be your advice to someone who's either in a cage or free diving and encounters a shark? Like, how do you stay calm?
I know. Well, staying calm is probably the hardest part, but the most important part, because they can really they're very good at sort of reading energy, because how they communicate with each other even is through body language. So staying calm is going to be utmost important. If you panic, that's the worst thing that you can do, essentially. So as best you can, just stay calm. Just realize, hey, this is a shark. This is where they live. Hopefully they're not doing anything aggressive. They're just kind of hanging out there. So stay calm, stay relaxed. Because if you start splashing, panicking, flailing, then you look eye-catching. The shark's gonna be like, okay, is that something that's hurt or injured? I should probably go like check that out a little closer. So stay nice and calm. Then you want to make eye contact with the shark. And I know most people can't even make eye contact with like the Starbucks barista these days, but make eye contact with the shark. You want to look it in their eye because you look more like a predator that way. It's very similar, all of these things, to what we hear about bears, except we just hear it more and it makes more sense for us because bears live on land like we do. We hear, say, hey, bear, get big, look at it, don't turn your back and run away. That's going to make the bear want to chase you. It's kind of the same thing with the shark. Look at the shark, get big, don't splash, flail, any sudden movements, but you can slowly back away, but just go backwards while you're looking at it, okay? And then if the shark is coming up to you, you can stick your fin out towards the shark. Maybe you have like your GoPro pole on you. Maybe you have a surfboard. If you can put something between you and the animal, obviously that's going to be a really great barrier. And if not, of course, there is the redirecting with your hand technique, which obviously I wouldn't recommend for someone to just go out and try that doesn't have this experience. But in an emergency situation, if that's all you have on you, you want to push on top of their head and kind of push them away like a little Heisman over top of them. And yeah, slowly back away and get out of the water. But what a lot of people don't realize is that it can be really easy to avoid a shark encounter before you even get in the water. One of the things you can do, look around. If the water looks pretty murky, you probably want to avoid swimming in it if you can. Go in groups if you have more people around you. You might look more intimidating to a shark. You have more people to look around, watch your back. Don't go in anywhere where people are fishing. Sometimes you'll see people fishing from land, from piers, or even a dive flag out there could indicate somebody's spearfishing. If there's dead fish in the water, that could attract sharks closer, which is probably pretty obvious. And also, after heavy rainfall, you want to avoid swimming because there could be really heavy rainfall making the water murky, but also if there's flooding, can sometimes sweep land animals from land out to sea. That does happen out here in Hawaii, and we will see the sharks coming up and the garbage men of the sea, sort of with the tiger sharks, they'll clean it all up. So you want to avoid being around that at all.
For sure.
See, I never thought about that, like land animals being in the shark diet too.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. No, it makes sense.
Especially in Florida and Hawaii.
Yeah.
I mean, places where it rains a lot and things get, the runoff into the ocean.
It rains a lot here and we get freshwater eels floating up through the storm drains. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
something special.
Crazy. Yeah, my husband actually captured a really cool drone video of a dead boar that had been swept out a couple miles. It was already dead. And there was a tiger shark eating it. So it definitely happens here. I've heard about it here in Kona with dead goats, dead boar. So it's definitely something that happens.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for sure.
It really does. I mean, we've talked about the idea of what is happening with bycatch and the threats that are occurring to sharks at this point. I mean, overall, what would you say is the biggest threat to ocean life?
Well, I definitely stand by saying that our fishing practices need to change. I'm not against fishing. My husband's a spear fisherman. I think there's so many ways, especially if you can go out and get your own seafood, that we can make it really sustainable. So just the ways that we fish need to change. Obviously, if you cannot eat fish altogether, that's amazing. Or, know that you're going out and getting it yourself. But it's really the industries that we need to take a look at and how they're operating. And then, I'm not as well versed in all of this, but climate change is for sure affecting the ocean negatively. It makes me so sad because I just see on like all my Instagram page, so many corals around the world are just like bleaching, and that just feels like we're going to lose something, like we're watching it before our eyes. So yeah, that really makes me sad.
Yeah. I mean, and speaking about corals, I think during your introduction, we talk about sunscreens that are safe for reefs. I mean, do you have any recommendations of sunscreens that are safe?
Yeah, for sure. I really like this sunscreen brand called All Good. They're on Amazon too, and I think they have like tinted sunscreens too, and like the regular zinc. But what makes them really good and what you can look for if you're looking for sunscreens, it is a great way to do your part, you know. It's really like a lot of the big countries and these huge corporations that need to make the change. But of course, we can help in our own little personal ways as well. But this company, what you'll look for on the back, as you may know, you look for only zinc or titanium within the sunscreen as the active ingredient. Should be right there at the top on the back of the sunscreen bottle. But not only that, what a lot of people don't know is you also want to look for non-nano zinc oxide. That will just assure that the particles within the sunscreen, the particles of the zinc, are not small enough for the corals to consume them within the water. So that's the problem with the chemical sunscreen is the corals are actually like ingesting the chemicals and filtering it. So with the non-nano zinc, the particles are just not big enough to actually go through that process. So it's not only zinc, it's non-nano zinc, but even just zinc is better than the chemicals. So there's like levels of how good your sunscreen can be. But check out All Good. They're good. They're all good.
They're all good. that nice plug there.
Good branding for them. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, well, I think sunscreen is definitely something that we can change, but you're also a big proponent of eliminating single-use plastics. So what do you think just your average Joe can do to kind of remove or not remove? Because we can't, because like you said, big industry, they use plastic for everything. But what can we do to kind of lower our plastic footprint to help our oceans?
I think that of course, we can use less single-use plastic. Like I have a Yeti instead of the, water bottles, and we just use a filter at the house. And there's so many reasons that's so much better for you. It's like there's not plastic leaching into your drinking water and all of those chemicals. It's cheaper and all of these things. So I think everyone should definitely just be using a reusable water bottle to start. That's a great place to start. Reusable bags, keep them in your car, say no to straws, try to catch them at the restaurant before they throw them on the table. Cause that's all they do now is just throw it on the table. It's like, wait, no, I don't need that. So those things are really great, but like we said, it's the bigger businesses and the corporations that we need to be holding accountable. But we can do that with our purchasing power and just us as consumers. So every time that you are supporting a brand that is doing the right thing, sustainable, even if it costs a little bit extra, that is going to force those bigger corporations to need to compete and keep up with the buying power that we have and the dollar sign, because that's unfortunately what drives so much today, is the economics around it all. So yeah, we actually can make a big difference just with our purchasing power, just with the choices that we make. So I would say, supporting local is supporting things that are closer to you, small businesses within your community, and think about that economy. And then when you do need to buy something, see if there's the more sustainable choices out there that you can gravitate towards and put your dollar towards that. And that, I think, will make a bigger difference over time.
Yeah, I have a recommendation for shampoo and body wash and deodorant. Is that Ethic company?
Yeah.
yeah. That we used it.
Yep.
It's
good.
awesome. Yeah, it works just as well. It's a bar of soap, not in a bottle. It's in a compostable box.
Yeah, I was surprised at like how well that worked too, because and I really like that brand also. But the conditioner, I was worried because like I'm in the ocean all the time, so it's like real salty, real crunchy, and all that good stuff. But it worked really well. The conditioner
Right.
it was like better than regular conditioner. I was like, whoa, I'm like detangling like super well. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why there's no, to me, other than cost, it is a little bit more expensive, but I also think it lasts a lot longer than regular shampoo because it's just rub it real fast and then it suds up and then you're off to the races. But I like that stuff. I recommend it. And then like Bite toothpaste, that works well too. And it's even better for you supposedly than the fluoride based stuff, but there's no plastic tube to worry about.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
They also have laundry detergent sheets. I use those too.
Yes.
And like when you start actually digging into some of these products, you're like, Wow, these are not only better for the environment, but they're better for me too because they
Yeah,
don't have as much chemicals and all of this stuff. So I just use like these laundry detergent sheets are unscented because the scents and added chemicals are supposed to be bad. They're on your skin all the time too. And then I just put like essential oils in the laundry and it smells like so good. And yeah, it's better
oh
for
yeah,
you, better for the planet. Comes in cardboard. It's like a no-brainer, you know?
for sure. Yeah, the pods that people buy that you throw in the washing machine, they don't understand that that pod itself is plastic.
The
actual pod that
the casing.
dissolves in the laundry. It's like that's turning into microplastics, and you're breathing that in
or drinking
Mhm.
it.
or drinking it. Yeah,
Or
it's
eating it if you
wild.
eat fish. Like all the fish these days
Exactly.
have microplastics.
Yeah. Well,
That's true.
I read a study. It was about I can't remember, like 8 out of 10 placentas that scientists tested from women had microplastics in them. It's insane. It's like we have to change that, and that's for our health too, not just the ocean. you know.
And all this stuff
Ugh,
has like forever cancer causing chemicals in it and stuff like that. So, really, when we make these suggestions, it's just for ourselves as well as the planet as a whole. Like, we're all one here, you know, and it affects all of us. So, it's
absolutely.
important to make those changes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, to kind of go into what your goal for Kaimana is, I mean, what overarching message do you want to send with the Kaimana Ocean Safari?
Well, with Kaimana, it's so exciting for me to be able to take people out there to do this because, like I said, I think the experience and actually getting out there is what inspires people to make the changes that we're talking about and have these different like perception changes. In general, people just tend to protect what they love, what they understand, what they experienced in their own life. So getting to take people out there is really awesome. And then while we're out there, we can talk to them about issues like this. We can show them how we're contributing to our local research organizations. We contribute by giving ID photos, like the dorsal fins of cetaceans, the dolphins, the whales, as well as the sharks to our local research organizations so they can study them better. So every time somebody comes out with us, they actually get to contribute to that research, which is really exciting. And yeah, I want to continue to do that and continue to take people on trips in other parts of the world as well, because I think there's so much to see out there. And combining my love of, as we talked about in the beginning of the episode, you know, different cultures and different places around the world and kind of getting out of your hometown and combining that with the love of the ocean and seeing the plight of the ocean and ways that you can change it is like awesome. So I'm running a lot of expeditions with my husband where we take people around the world to go do these things. We have a few spots left for our humpback whale expeditions this fall. I'm gonna start probably booking our shark diving expeditions in Mexico for March 2025 and some more exciting things on the horizon as well. So anybody can definitely reach out to me if that interests them.
For sure. I am interested.
He's like,
but,
looks like, yes, can we do that?
Yeah, like
Well,
March 2025, maybe.
I was going to ask, are you ever going to do anything in the Florida area?
Yeah, actually, there may be a reason that I'm coming to Florida in June, but I'm not sure yet. I will definitely hit you guys up if that is the
Yes.
case.
Yes,
Do
please.
it.
Yeah, I
Yes,
would.
I've been shark diving out there in Jupiter. It's actually really fun.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to see you.
I would love to see me.
I don't know if she'd make it out.
No, okay, talking to you, like I can see it, right? I know the shark's purpose. I understand what the reason is behind the shark. And even I guess being with someone like you, Kay, out on an excursion like that, I feel like I could maybe channel some of your calmness and you try it, like just experience it. So I love talking to you about this. This is something that I think one day we, Russ and Lyns, will be on a Kaimana excursion. We will do this.
Well, and you don't just jump in, right? You kind of like survey the sharks before, like make sure they're not in feeding zone. You know,
she will keep us safe. Yes.
Right. So it's not like you're just all right. there's a shark. Jump in. You push her into the water.
Yes, there's a lot that goes into it, and we will definitely make sure that you guys are nice and safe. But I definitely encourage people to go out and swim with sharks because I think you can hear about it over and over and kind of like be beat over the head with this information about sharks. But until you see them for yourself, you're like, oh, now I get it. They just don't behave in that way that the media and the movies really hype it up,
For sure. And like you said, they're just seeing a shark swim next to a kayaker, a fisherman, and it's not an attack. You're in his house.
Right. Yeah. And if you're fishing, you have his food.
Right.
You just stole out of his pantry.
You stole my food, bro.
It's like, what would we do? We would do the same thing. So.
Exactly. There was a video that was just posted on social media. A lady was ziplining over. It looked like the Everglades. She was ziplining over a pond, and a gator popped his head out. And I'm like, well, if somebody's screaming over top of your head, you'd pop your head out too.
What's going on?
Yeah, it was the same thing. I'm like, just leave the gator alone. It didn't do nothing to you.
That makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Well, we ask every guest, Kay, and you will be no exception. Let's hear the answer here. If you won $10 million tonight, what's the first thing you would do tomorrow?
Oh my gosh. Wow. That is I'd probably just be doing the same thing because I really enjoy what I do. So I'm very lucky to have an answer like that. And yeah, I would probably book my dream trip, which is to swim with orca in Norway.
Ooh.
It's very cold and it's very extreme, but I kind of like that stuff. And they're like hunting the herring and things over there. So I would want to go check that out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Orca's probably my favorite sea creature.
Soon to be shark. Come March 2025.
I don't know what it is about orca, but they're so smart.
Right.
And they're sinking ships off of in the Mediterranean and stuff. Like they're smart enough to sink a boat. That's insane to me.
I got this orca sticker that has an orca on it and it says "fuck them boats," and I was like, I love this.
Yes,
I love that.
Yes,
that's perfect.
Yeah. But seriously, I see them and those are like majestic creatures to me just because of the intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I really like predators, so orcas are for sure up there, and I really want to go see them in that way, and I'm sure one day I will. So,
yeah, and they are like surgically precise when they eat sharks, right? Don't they eat like the liver or something? It's like a delicacy to the orca.
Yeah, I think it's what essentially has like the most nutritional value that they're after. So they'll kill a whole animal and just eat their liver.
Right.
Good. Great.
But how did they know? How do they know to surgically remove that part,
It's really fascinating.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if you do ever get to go see the orcas, please let us know how it is. It sounds cold. Sorry, I don't like cold.
I've heard it's very cold.
Well, Kay, let them know where to find you. Where can they find you on social media or your website or
business?
All the places.
Yes, please.
All the places. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And you can find me on pretty much all the social media platforms at mermaid.kayleigh. And if you want to come dive with me, my website is kaimanaoceansafari.com.
And Kaimana, just so it's clear for people listening to audio and not having access to the show notes, how do you spell that?
It's Kaimana.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh,
thanks so much.
I
Kay.
would highly recommend checking out Mermaid Kayleigh's social media pages because they are awesome.
It's literally what we watch almost every night. It's awesome.
Seriously, I can't stop. I'm just like scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. I'm like, I just wasted an hour watching shark videos.
Not wasted.
no, but you know what I'm saying.
It's all the fun.
Yes.
Thanks so much, Kay.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Good
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Unfiltered Union.
Did you like the episode? Support the show. Visit us on Patreon at patreon.com/unfilteredunion.
Or you can rock some merch. Check out our store at store.unfilteredunion.com.
For all other things unfiltered, check out our site at unfilteredunion.com.
It's what you do with things you love.